Good afternoon, everyone. In today's video, we're going to take a list of stocks using a simple scan in ThinkOrSwim. In this case, I'm using the edge signal scan and on a weekly time frame, but our entire goal is to find places where we have interesting short interest opportunities setting up. This is where we have high short interest, and we'd like to take a look at a bunch of different stocks. So in this case, we'll look at 60 different candidates that triggered true on the scan. But like that, you'll notice just how easy it is to go through large batches of stock and see where there might be short interest opportunities setting up. So starting off with this scan, we're going to copy paste this entire list into an Excel file. These are the results of the weekly edge signal scan where we had the signal plot true last week along with our squeeze conditions. So this is ideally where we're looking for some sort of momentum in the bullish direction here. So now if we paste in the entire list, you'll notice that this pastes nice and cleanly. Now we can use a simple formula to comma delineate this entire list for us, where we let ThinkOrSwim give us the candidates using our scans. And now we're going to let Excel do the heavy lifting in terms of adding a comma. And then you'll notice how easy it is once we paste this list into the actual scanner. So here, the formula that I'm going to use is A1 with the and sign, and I'd like to append a comma to the end of that symbol. So here you'll notice that we have D, comma, and now if I apply this straight down the line, I have an entire list of all 60 of those comma delineated stocks, which now I've highlighted. Control C. We'll come into our short interest scanner here in the volatility box tool. All stock volatility box members, you should have access to this. So now here, if we paste in the list directly, we'll click search, and you'll notice that all 60 symbols and their short interest data is now easily available. Let's sort by highest short interest percentage, and there very easily from that entire list of 60, you have the places in which you have high short interest. Arguably the double digits are the ones that are most interesting. So now let's take a look at each of these four charts. So we have IFF, VCYT, TTMI, and LITE. So coming back to ThinkOrSwim here, let's switch on over to a weekly chart. Now the first symbol we had was IFF. If we take a look at IFF on the weekly, we did have our edge signal. It's still, the market pulse doesn't necessarily look like it's turning bullish for us. So let's look at the next one, VCYT. Now VCYT looks fairly interesting. This is where we've had 3 bullish squeeze signals, and it looks like VCYT is about to get started. So that's going to be one on our list with both high short interest along with our technicals lining up. Let's take a look at one other one, TTMI. The market pulse still shows this to be bearish. And then the last one we had on that list was LITE. LITE also looks pretty interesting along with VCYT. So I think those would be 2 symbols out of the 60 that are worthwhile pursuing. So let's go to the trade tab here. And in LITE, we do have liquid options, so that's fairly appealing. And if we take a look at VCYT, yep, so that's a little bit of a different story where you don't really have a liquid options chain. So now trying to play this short interest move does require you to actually use the shares if you'd like to maintain liquidity, which is a smart thing to do, versus LITE, where you do have the flexibility to use options for those of you that like to do that. You also have LITE being hard to borrow, which I imagine combined with the high short interest percentage, 10.20% is what we saw. Although our change from the last period has decreased, but we're still at a period where we have relatively high short interest percentage. LITE looks to be the most interesting one out of this entire scan that I would be looking at for a move. Now, if we try and play this in terms of actual targets, so we'll use our simple fibs, but this time on the weekly since our time frame is also much longer. Keep in mind that translates to the options chain as well, right? We wouldn't be looking at 11 days to expiration options. You'd be looking much further, but the end goal of this target, if that short squeeze does pan out to be true, and if we have our squeeze, if I load that in, ends up firing long, which you see that the momentum has now started to shift just a little bit here, right? We went from negative to positive, which also then overlapped with our squeeze signal here. We'd be looking for this to really thrust up higher, have LITE reach not only new all-time highs, but break past that to the 1272 extension at 102.52. And so hopefully you saw how in about 5 minutes or so, we took an entire list of 60 stocks. We let 3 tools do much of the heavy lifting for us, ThinkOrSwim, Excel, and the volatility box short interest scanner. And with that, we were left with really 4 stocks where we wanted to go look at and pay attention to, and LITE ended up being the winner out of those 4 stocks. Now, similarly, you can come back into the scan tab and load in your own set of scans that you may be looking at, right? So it may be something as simple as the market pulse going from accumulation to acceleration. Could also be something like the simple breakout tool, whatever you'd like. But in this case, we're looking for bullish scans along with high short interest to try and find that really nice marriage of the two where you have these propulsive moves much higher. right? The last one I'll talk about, if we had talked about this in that options video actually, but if I do load in ZYXI here, you'll notice how it's essentially just gone straight up. Today we had an 8.56% move up. If we take a look at Friday's activity, even though we did see some selling into the close, the actual move on Friday was a 9.8% in the bullish direction from very similar signals that we're looking at in LITE. All right, so hope that helps to give you some ideas. Take care. And for all of our members, stay tuned. We do have our next tutorial coming out this week, which I think you'll find interesting. All right, take care, everyone, and good luck trading the rest of this week.